Deep learning for text classification with Keras.
Deep learning text classification with Keras. What is deep neural network (DNN) is an artificial neural network (ANN) with multiple hidden layers between the input and output layers. There are many different types of neural networks, but they all share the same components, which are neurons, synapses, weights, bias, and functions. Sentiment analysis, topic labeling, language detection, and intention detection are the most popular examples of text classification. Text classification with R. It is an excellent choice that provides a comprehensive, coherent, and integrated set of data analysis tools. In this text classification using Keras, the only data that is being used for the model to be trained and learned is the text attribute and will be compared to text attribute to calculate and predict the accuracy of the model. This due to text is the only attribute containing to the text will be learned by the model and will be classified whether it is positive or negative.
Detailed description data. The dataset was found and downloaded from Kaggle UI, and it contains a total of 50,000 rows of data consisting of 25,000 positive and 25,000 negative processed reviews. The data has the attributes fold underscore ID, uh, where it will contain the 100 CV underscore tag. CV underscore tag is a cross-validation tag where it is used to cross-validate the original HTML file. HTML underscore ID is the ID for each original review file that does not have a consistent format. Next attribute is text. Text is the comments or review given by user about the movie. Finally is tag. Tag is the classification given to the text, whether it is positive or negative. In this text classification using Keras, the only data that is being used for the model to be trained and learned is text attribute, and it will be compared to tag attribute to calculate and predict the accuracy of the model. This is due to text is the only attribute containing the text that will be learned by the model and will be classified whether it is positive or negative. This is the flowchart of text classification with Keras. First, start, and then import Keras library, and then imdb equals dataset underscore imdb, num in bracket num underscore words equals to 10,000, and then train underscore data equals to imdb s sign dollar train s sign dollar x, and then train underscore labels equals imdb s sign dollar train s sign dollar y, and then test underscore data equals to imdb as sign dollar test as sign dollar x, and then text underscore labels equals imdb as sign dollar test as sign dollar y. This is for train the data and test the data. And then limit the data set to the top 10,000 most frequent words, and then turn the data from lists into tensors, convert the labels from integer to numeric for training and testing the data, and then create Keras underscore model underscore sequential with the layer 16, 16, 1, set the activation function ReLU simoid, and then use RM as prop for optimizer and binary underscore cross entropy for loss function to model, and then create validation set by setting 10,000 samples from original training data, and then train 20 iterations or overall 512 samples in X underscore train and Y underscore train tensors using neural network. Pass the validation data as validation underscore data argument to monitor loss and accuracy on the 10,000 samples that set apart, and then compute loss and accuracy on 10,000 samples of validation data for every epoch. Display history object by calling feed function, and then plot history object to visualize the training and validation metrics by epoch, and then stop training after 3 epoch to prevent the case of overfitting. Train new neural network for 4 epochs to evaluate it on the test data, and then display epoch loss and accuracy, and each epoch loss and accuracy and overall results of loss and accuracy, and then generate likelihood of reviews being positive by using the predict method, and then display prediction results of validation data for 10 samples. And
In this project, we use the deep neural network for the task of text classification. So the deep neural network setting is we have a input layer, two intermediate layer, and output layer. So for the two intermediate layer, each layer will consist of 16 neurons. They will use the renew activation function, and third layer that will use a sigmoid activation function to output a probability to indicate the likelihood review to be positive or negative. So having 16 hidden units means the weight matrix W you have the shape of 16, and the dot product with W will add up the input that multiply with weight and later add the bias. The output calculated will then be applied to the renew activation function. So, however, having more hidden units does allow the network to learn more complex representations, but it makes the network more computationally expensive and may lead to learning unwanted patterns that can cause overfitting. So below is the two activation function used in the intermediate layer. For the renew activation function, this function is meant to zero out the negative values, and the sigmoid activation function is will clusters the input value into the range of 0 and 1. So outputting something that can be interpreted as a probability.
To be concluded, the research proposed deep neural network (DNN) for test classification with Keras that can achieve glue classification performance on positive and negative review based on the text of the review. The positive and negative review classification is called sentiment analysis. Is a crucial but challenging task. To improve the text sentiment analysis classification in deep neural network (DNN), we may create a sentiment attention mechanism to integrate sentiment linguistic knowledge into a deep neural network (DNN). That's all from us. Thank you.